Representative Eli Crane and Senator Marsha Blackburn strongly challenged these Democratic witnesses, who they argue support government involvement in content moderation and limiting certain online speech.
Government has the right to participate in expressing its viewpoint. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't, respectfully, Ms. Franks, I don't think that's what we're really talking about here today. We're not talking about the government expressing its viewpoints. What we're really talking about is when the government pays and uses taxpayer dollars to fund these entities that we're talking about here today that actually discredit some of these news sites and drives away their advertisers. Do you think that's fair as well?
What is fair is for the government to be able to fund projects and organizations that do certain things with those funds that may include competing in the marketplace of ideas, and they may be winning in the marketplace of ideas, but the government is not making those choices. And when certain news outlets lose in the marketplace of ideas, they may want to blame the government for that, but maybe they're just losers.
So, okay, Ms. Franks, do you think...
It's actually Dr. Franks.
What's that?
It's actually Dr. Franks.
Okay, Dr. Franks, sorry. Ms. Jonas here said that when she was looking at these entities and the organizations that they had blacklisted, every single one of them was a conservative-leaning organization. Do you think that's fair as well? Is that okay? Dr. Franks?
Use a different name, so I wasn't sure you were talking to me.
Yeah, I'm still talking to you. I'm still looking at you. I'm still talking to you.
Would you repeat the question for me?
Yeah, you seem to have a problem paying attention to the questions being asked of you today. I'll repeat it for you again. Do you think that it's okay that these entities that are blacklisting companies, all of the companies on the list that are blacklisted are conservative outlets?
Do I think that it is okay for a company, for a nonprofit organization to develop tools that offer rankings, in other words, offer speech of criticism, critical speech about certain businesses? Yes, I think that's okay because that is protected First Amendment activity.
So you think it's okay for the federal government to be using our tax dollars to basically, through a proxy, blacklist one side of the aisle? You think that's okay?
I do not, because that is not what is happening.
Really? How so?
Yes.
Then why are all the companies on the list, the blacklist, conservative groups?
I think that's something that conservatives would need to answer.
No, I think that's something you need to answer. Because we're talking about censorship here, and there's only one group of people being censored.
No one is being censored.
Miss Eunice here admitted that she's not even a Republican. She leans left. Yet she's telling us that all of the companies on the blacklist are conservative groups. How do you square that, Doctor?
I don't have to square that because, as I said, the focus
I know, because you don't have to make any sense, do you?
May I answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
The First Amendment has certain principles and certain rules. People may not like them. People may disagree with them. People may not like the fact that someone out there may say conservatives are all bad or liberals are all bad. The correct response to not liking that is to engage in your own speech, as is often happening here. It is not to say, oh, this is censorship, we're being silenced. It's simply to say, we disagree with what's being said here. Try to compete, and if you are good enough, maybe you'll win.
Miss Jonas, what do you have to say about what Dr. Franks just said?
First of all, I want to be I want to be clear that this wasn't just about NewsGuard and GDI. The government was funding hundreds, at least 300 tools and technologies that were designed to censor speech. Some of them weren't even pretending to censor foreign disinformation, quote unquote disinformation. Of course, that's a subjective term. So they were hosting COVID disinformation challenges where they were giving grants to companies who showed that they were the best at censoring COVID disinformation. COVID is not really a national security or foreign topic, even if it, has some tinges of that. So this was about the government using its authority. The government can't use its authority, can't use its power, and can't use its money in order to censor views it doesn't like. It's the government, yes, it has its a right to censor, to express its own views, but not to use those views to censor. That's where it stops. And the court expressly said that in Vulo recently, actually.
Mr. Weingarten, I'm going to allow you to comment on this exchange.
I just say briefly, we've heard a robust defense of the government's purported right to speak, which, as we've established, really looks like a right to censor. And the censors portrayed as the victims here, but American speech en masse has been censored by this censorship industrial complex on a slew of issues that expressly reflect protected political speech. And if a stop isn't put to it, we're going to lose this right in toto.
We're here to talk about free speech, correct?
Yes.
And we're here to talk about that being a fundamental right guaranteed by the Constitution, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the Supreme Court plays an essential role in guaranteeing those constitutional rights, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about a tweet that you had in January 2024. The Supreme Court is a death panel. Is that your opinion?
In the context of this hearing, I think it is important to emphasize why I am here, which is to talk about my views on the First Amendment.
No.
That's
Not what I ask you. Do you think the Supreme Court is a death panel?
In the
for
context of
free
the cases
speech?
that, not for free speech, no, that was not the context of that particular
Oh, my goodness.
communication.
Okay. Well, it appears that you see the Supreme Court as a death panel, and that is some of the same rhetoric that unfortunately we continue to hear from some on the left who are trying to villainize justices who are doing their job. And I would like to just ask you, knowing that you have put this out, that the Supreme Court is a death panel, then let me ask you this. Do you look at Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson as members of the death panel, or is this just the justices that you disagree with?
I do not believe that the comments that you are referring to have relevance for this particular hearing, but here's what I will say. This is an administration that is threatening judges in addition to other people that he disagrees with. So,
Okay,
yes, if your question is, do I defend judges?
I'm ready to
Am
move
I
on.
worried
Thank
about
you.
judges'
Ms.
security?
Hemingway,
I am.
I'd like to
I am
come
worried
to
about this
you.
administration essentially threatening those judges.
I want to talk with you, Ms. Hemingway, about the State Department's use of the Global Engagement Center to censor news outlets like the Daily Wire and the Federalist. I know that this is something that you have had to deal with. And Daily Wire is located in Tennessee. We're proud of them. We are delighted that they chose to move from California over to Tennessee. And it is my understanding that the Global Engagement Center was created to counter messaging from bad actors, including terrorist groups, but the Biden administration weaponized it to silence conservative groups. And what has the censorship, I call it the censorship industrial complex, what do you think they're trying to hide when it targets outlets like the Federalist and the Daily Wire?
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. Yes, our reporter, Margot Cleveland, who's our senior legal writer, uncovered through her reporting facets of the censorship industrial complex and learned that the State Department was one of the federal entities that was engaging with non-governmental organizations and other entities in big tech to market, promote, censorship tools and blacklists, which were then used against my publication, The Federalist, and also the Daily Wire. Publications that are a threat to the reigning orthodoxies are targeted by the censorship industrial complex. They want to exist without people pointing out their lies or the fact that there are really important debates. And so we are suing the State Department for that, and it is ongoing, this support of the censorship industrial complex. It is the bureaucracy, really, which perpetuates this even more than a particular administration.
Yes, and I think it's so important to note that robust, respectful, bipartisan debate adds to our freedom, helps to keep us free, and allows that debate in the public square. And when you have an entity that becomes weaponized and shuts down one side of that speech and only allows speech with which it completely agrees.
You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to believe that there was significant debate over content moderation policies during the Biden administration. Some people feel that if you spoke against the prevailing narrative, your voice could be limited or your account restricted. In certain cases, users reported being removed from platforms for raising controversial or disputed questions. Questions like, should I be wearing a mask? Do I need to take this vaccine? Did Joe Biden win the 2020 election? These were among the topics that sparked intense moderation and public debate online. This has led some to argue that events like Elon Musk acquiring X, formerly Twitter, and political shifts in leadership could influence how speech is handled on large platforms. In today's digital age, many people are concerned about the power of major tech companies and their relationship with government guidance. Some point back to the 2020 election period, including the controversies surrounding reports about Hunter Biden's laptop, where certain stories were limited or restricted on social media platforms at the time. Critics argue that this demonstrated how quickly information could be controlled or slowed down online. At the same time, others argue that moderation is necessary to prevent misinformation, harmful content, or interference in democratic processes. This is where the debate becomes more complex, balancing free expression with public safety and accurate information. There's also a broader concern often raised. When governments are given more authority to regulate or monitor information, will that power be reduced later, or will it continue to expand? This question has been part of political discussions for decades. It echoes a well-known quote by former President Ronald Reagan, "I'm from the government, and I'm here to help." The quote is often used to express skepticism about expanding government power. At its core, this issue comes down to where we draw the line. Many people believe individuals should be free to express their opinions online, as long as they are not breaking laws or directly harming others. Others believe stronger oversight is necessary in the modern information landscape. So what do you think? Have you or someone you know experienced content restrictions or censorship in recent years? Drop your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.